Although learning how to express our thoughts and opinions is a valuable skill, there are times when choosing to remain silent can be the wiser course of action. Stoic philosophy suggests that we can all recall instances in which we wished we could take back the words we said. Consider quiet as a means of managing our thoughts and establishing a place in which we may delve deeper into our understanding of ourselves and the environment we live in, from routine daily encounters to tense and complex circumstances. Deciding when to keep quiet can help you avoid needless confrontations. Silence can have a significant impact on our lives. Preserve respect and trust. Let's talk about 11 particular circumstances where it works best. To remain silent in the face of Stoicism, please take a moment to like and subscribe to our channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. I also urge you to stick with it through to the very end, because every scenario discussed is equally significant and greatly advances your overall personal development. Now let's start with the first point. Even though honesty is a valued quality, there are times when our candid remarks might do more harm than good. This is especially true in situations where our opinions, while honest, are not always constructive or beneficial. For example, imagine a friend excitedly showing up wearing they are grinning with confidence and enjoyment in this new attire that you don't think flatters them. Ask yourself what the point of offering your honest view is. Would it increase or decrease their happiness? Stoicism encourages us to think through the consequences of our words before speaking in situations like this, where your words might only serve to hurt. Opting to remain silent can be a kind and compassionate act. It doesn't imply lying or being untruthful. Rather, it reflects the Stoic principle of primum non nocere first. Do no harm by choosing silence so that your loved one can enjoy the time unhindered. This option addresses a greater comprehension of what actually counts in relationships, elevating and supporting people instead of imposing our will on them at the expense of their happiness. This idea is relevant beyond subjective views regarding appearances in professional contexts. For example, if a colleague is proud of a finished project that you believe has flaws, think about the necessity and timing of your critique. Should you offer constructive criticism now, or should you wait until a more suitable time when it can be offered effectively? Remember that being silent doesn't mean hiding your thoughts. Rather, it means using discernment and empathy to know when to speak and when to avoid unintentionally hurting someone. This is what Stoic wisdom teaches. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is to simply be there, silently supporting them with your presence. Sometimes you don't know the whole story, just as watching only the second half of a movie can leave you perplexed about the plot. Let us put this wisdom into practice in our daily interactions. By doing so, we not only avoid causing unnecessary pain, but also cultivate a character that embodies respect, understanding, and kindness. Entering conversations before fully understanding them can result in misunderstandings and false information. Take this into consideration when you attend a meeting already in advancement, or you only hear portions of a discussion about a complicated subject. In these situations, it's normal to want to contribute or even feel under pressure to provide an opinion. But like the knowledge, what should you do in these situations? According to the gap theory, when we lack information, our brains try to fill in the spaces with assumptions that may be false or deceptive. The Stoic practice would advise you to embrace silence. By choosing to remain silent, you give yourself the chance to pay closer attention to what is being said, observe how the conversation is going, and ask relevant questions that can help you understand. This method is not just about avoiding conflict, advancement, or you just hear portions of a discussion about a complicated subject. In these situations, it's normal to want to participate or even feel under pressure to provide an opinion. But like the information, what should you do in these situations? According to the gap theory, when we lack information, our brains try to fill in the spaces with assumptions that may be false or deceptive. The Stoic practice would advise you to embrace silence. By choosing to remain silent, you give yourself the chance to pay closer attention to what is being said, observe how the conversation is going, and ask relevant questions that can help you understand. This method is not just about avoiding conflict, a chance to learn as opposed to an obstacle to involvement. By practicing strategic silence, you can avoid potential mistakes and establish yourself as a thoughtful and perceptive person. Remember, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is listen, learn, and speak only when you have a firm grasp of the facts. In this way, we not only enrich our own understanding but also positively contribute to the discussions we engage in. Stoicism teaches us the value of observing and learning as essential components of effective communication and decision-making. Imagine yourself in the middle of a furious dispute, your heart racing and words about to spill. Now is the time to embrace stillness. Stoic wisdom tells us that words once spoken cannot be unspoken, and that apology alone cannot always heal the heartache caused by a mistake. In other words, when anger, frustration, or any other overwhelming feeling takes hold, our usual rational filters are the first to go and we become reactionary, which is far from our ideal state. You know the drill. Without our rational filters, we're more likely to blurt out things we might regret later. Deciding to remain silent. By remaining silent, you're actually protecting your relationships from the destructive words that can tear them apart. It gives you the space to process those overwhelming feelings in private, allowing you to approach the situation later on with clarity and calm. Think of it as pausing a particularly intense scene in a movie to give yourself time to collect yourself, think things through, and move forward more thoughtfully. It's about choosing not to respond hastily, which could exacerbate the situation. You're not dismissing your feelings. Rather, you're just waiting for the storm to pass to talk about them calmly and constructively. Dispute, but rather waiting for a moment when care and patience may be prioritized. For example, let's say a project goes wrong at work, or there are family conflicts at home. These are excellent illustrations of how biting your tongue can keep you from creating severe wounds or burning bridges. Run high. Allow your feelings to pass and speak when you're more level-headed. Let's practice this Stoic discipline together to make our world a little more peaceful and understanding-filled. The next time you find yourself in a storm of emotions, remember that sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. This approach not only reduces conflict, but also fosters respect and understanding between all parties involved. Calm one silent moment at a time. Number 4. When your words would reflect poorly on someone, imagine yourself in a situation at work where everyone is tense, possibly due to someone not doing their share or a major misunderstanding between coworkers. You might feel like venting or talking smack about someone involved, but speaking negatively or making damaging character attacks leads to more harm than good. Not only does it damage the person you're speaking about, but it also damages your own reputation, because people are generally less likely to trust someone who speaks poorly of others. This lowers your credibility and can erode the trust within your team or social circle. Stoic wisdom advises us to exercise moderation in these circumstances rather than automatically exploding, which can quickly veer into offensive terrain. There are times when being honest is necessary, particularly when giving constructive feedback or addressing serious issues with the person in question. But the important thing here is the intention behind your words and the manner in which you deliver them. Stoicism teaches us to pause and reflect. Ask yourself, will my words improve the situation or merely add to the negativity? Most of the time, silence in such instances can be more powerful and constructive than any words spoken in haste. Stoics counsel us to use language that seeks to build rather than destroy, such as when a colleague needs to be comforted, has erred, try having a private discussion with them in which you may politely voice your concerns and provide support or solutions, as opposed to criticizing them in front of others. With this approach, you not only protect your colleague's dignity, but also cultivate a positive and encouraging environment. We uphold the Stoic principle of using speech as a tool for good rather than a weapon of harm, by choosing to say nothing when tempted to speak poorly and to speak thoughtfully when needed. Remembering that our words have the ability to influence our surroundings and the relationships we have, let's exercise caution in how we use this power to ensure that, when we do speak, our words represent our beliefs and best intentions. So, the next time you feel like blurting 5, while hearing constructive criticism, Try taking a minute to yourself and consider how you can talk constructively instead of letting our words cause everyone to suffer negative change. Imagine yourself in a meeting where a coworker or superior points out an error or an area where your performance needs improvement. The first impulse is usually strong to defend or explain yourself, but this is where Stoic wisdom comes in handy. By choosing to remain silent initially, you allow yourself the opportunity to pay attention and comprehend the criticism that is being given. This isn't about taking it all in quietly. It has to do with active listening, which is a sign of respect for both the growth process and the individual giving the input. In this situation, silence has multiple functions. When you take the time to reflect on what was said during the feedback session, you can apply another Stoic practice, the separation of emotion from logic. It also keeps the situation from spiraling out of control and gives you the space to process the information and critically evaluate the validity of the feedback without feeling defensive or offensive. Finally, it gives you the opportunity to formulate a thoughtful response that benefits your professional and personal development. Unbiasedly evaluate the comments, noting the aspects of it can assist you in developing what certain areas you can work on improving upon. If there are any queries that are still unclear, now is the time to ask them. This strategy demonstrates your openness to improvement, as well as your involvement and initiative in making improvements. This calm response of accepting quiet in the face of criticism shows maturity, professionalism, and a dedication to one's own excellence. It demonstrates your sincere desire to improve both personally and professionally. The next time you receive feedback, remember the Stoic approach. Remain silent, pay attention, consider your response, and then respond positively. This strategy not only helps you handle criticism better, but also promotes open communication and continuous improvement. When you don't know something, imagine yourself in a situation where the conversation at a social gathering gets into quantum mechanics, a subject you've only skimmed the surface of. Alternatively, you might be at a conference at work where the topic shifts to the nuances of blockchain technology, a subject you haven't had much exposure to. In these kinds of situations, it can be beneficial to listen rather than to speak because you reduce the possibility of misrepresenting concepts and uphold your reputation as someone who speaks intelligently and intelligently. As they say, it's better to remain silent and be regarded as a fool than to speak and remove all doubt. This is particularly relevant when we choose to listen instead of learning new things. If you embrace silence, you can absorb the correct information being shared by others who are more knowledgeable. This approach doesn't just apply to factual information, but also to understanding broader perspectives and deeper insights. Imagine you're asked a question about a recent scientific discovery and you only know bits and pieces of information. Jumping in with those fragments can lead to misunderstandings or even errors. Instead of contributing half-baked information, you respect the depth of the topic and those who are knowledgeable about it. This isn't just about avoiding embarrassment, it's about embracing the opportunity to learn and grow. You provide yourself the room to listen, comprehend, and assimilate new information when you remain mute in these instances. Information that you can utilize to create a well-rounded opinion. After you have more knowledge, you may decide that it is okay to make meaningful and beneficial contributions to the conversation at that point. Seventh, if you find yourself in a situation where you are facing legal issues, for example, you might be pulled over while driving, or you might be the subject of an investigation at work and questions are being asked. Your natural instinct might be to start explaining or defending your actions right away. However, in the eyes of the law, and as Stoic principles would suggest, it's important to carefully guard your words. Everything you say in these situations can be used against you in legal proceedings. While their goals are usually to pursue justice, law enforcement officers are taught to obtain information that may lead to a confession or paint a fuller picture of an occurrence. This isn't about mistrust, rather, it's about safeguarding yourself through tactful silence. Holding your tongue until you have a chance to consult with legal counsel protects you from unintentionally hurting your case. You're not refusing to cooperate. Rather, you're making sure that your communication is accurate and legally advised. This practice doesn't mean you're obstructing justice. Rather, it's about being cautious about your responses and making sure they are taken into consideration and legally. In legal situations, when every word matters greatly, sound Stoicism teaches us the value of restraint and the discernment to know when speaking causes more harm than good. In these situations, choosing silence may be a strong choice. It's about remaining composed, honoring the legal system, and defending oneself by delaying action until suitable professional advice is available. Therefore, when faced with legal questions or issues, adopt the Stoic discipline of strategic silence. This tactic can be useful in a variety of high-stakes or stressful circumstances, not only when interacting with police enforcement. Let's make sure that our words are always measured, and that, when we decide to speak, we do so with the full support of logic and appropriate advice. Doing so keeps us safe and maintains a polite and courteous manner of handling difficulties. Number 8. While maintaining your composure. In certain instances of life, one must make decisions on their own. Perhaps you're at work putting a new policy into effect that will be essential for future success, or perhaps you're dealing with a scenario with a disobedient child who needs limits set. In situations like this, having constant conversations can sometimes weaken your authority and cause uncertainty. Stoicism teaches us the importance of clarity and conviction after carefully weighing all of your options and reached a conclusion. The next step is to effectively convey your conclusion rather than to dispute or continuously defend it. Accept quiet. This isn't about dismissing queries or worries. Rather, it's about avoiding pointless discussions that contradict your choices. For example, let's say you decide to enforce a new bedtime for your child because they require more sleep during the school day. After initially outlining the rationale for the change, if the child persists in arguing or negotiating, being silent throughout subsequent conversations indicates that the decision is final, just as it would in a professional setting after the policy is declared and clarified. Refusing to bring up the discussion again during each meeting emphasizes how settled it is and how committed you are to it in both situations. Silence is a significant technique because it conveys that you have made up your mind and that you won't budge. It's not about being rigid or inflexible. Rather, it's about knowing when further discussion is no longer productive and could potentially erode the foundation of your authority and the respect others have for your leadership. Therefore, when you've made a decision that you know is right, state your position succinctly and clearly. This approach demonstrates maturity, professionalism, and the kind of resolution certainty that commands respect. As a Stoic, we strive to combine wisdom and resolve to make well-considered, clearly communicated, and dignified decisions. Let's practice making our words matter and our silences meaningful, reflecting our deep commitment to our choices and the principles behind them. Let your silence thereafter serve as a reinforcement of your resolve. This method not only respects your decision-making process, but also teaches others the importance of commitment and closure in any decision-making context. Number 9. When your opinions are irrelevant. As we mature and gain experience, our viewpoints naturally broaden and deepen. It's important to keep this in mind, though. Think about joining a new team or project at work. The team probably has an established culture and established processes. Not everyone will share our perspectives or find them important, especially in circumstances where there are established dynamics or expertise that differ from our own. It's possible that your ideas won't be well received if you jump right into offering suggestions or comments without completely comprehending the background or culture. This isn't because your contributions aren't significant. Rather, it's because the timing and comprehension of the group dynamics aren't yet in line with your contributions. Another example would be in social settings where conversations like politics, religion, or personal preferences come up. It's a good idea to consider whether voicing your strong beliefs will improve the converse with them or just make your presence known. There is great wisdom in choosing to listen instead of speak in these situations. By doing so, you not only avoid potential conflicts but also gain a deeper understanding of the other perspectives at play. Listening, gives you the opportunity to connect more authentically with others, building credibility and trust. It also helps you to gather more information and a better grasp of the nuances in each situation, which can later inform when and how you might effectively introduce your ideas. Stoicism does not encourage passivity. Rather, it advocates for meaningful dialogue where contributions are thoughtful and pertinent.
Concepts. The next time you find yourself in a situation where you're unsure of whether your opinions will be valued or relevant, consider embracing a Stoic silence. Think about the potential impact of your words. Might they teach, or might they disrupt? Use this as an opportunity to exercise emotional intelligence and maturity. Sometimes we might feel the urge to voice our thoughts simply to feel included, or to assert our intelligence. But Stoicism teaches us the strength of restraint and the value of introspection before speaking. Learn from others and pay attention to what they have to say, so that when you do contribute later on, it will be much more appreciated and significant. As Stoics, we are guided by the virtues of wisdom and justice, which teach us to respect this trust and uphold the confidentiality of the information. Imagine you are privy to a friend's health issues, or a colleague's personal struggles, or consider a more serious matter. When someone confides in you, whether it's personal details, sensitive health information, financial matters, or insider information about a company, they are placing significant trust in your discretion. Formal situation when you are given access to private corporate information that can affect stock prices. In each instance, the Stoic approach highlights the significance of keeping quiet. Speaking about these topics without permission can have detrimental effects on relationships, trust, and morality, both yours and the person's. The default position should always be to keep such information to yourself, unless there are strong ethical arguments in favor of disclosure, such as preventing harm to others. For example, if you are aware of someone being in peril right now, if someone shares something with you under the assumption of confidentiality, let their words stay solely with you. This practice not only aligns with Stoic virtues but also builds a respected character for its discretion and integrity. Stoic principles would encourage preventing harm while still respecting privacy as much as possible in general. Number 11. Consider circumstances such as a moment of remembrance or a group prayer when being silent is the most polite course of action. Silence in these situations is a sign of respect. It enables people to have a close personal relationship with their ideas, emotions, and convictions. When someone chooses to share a personal story or an especially emotional experience, they are often looking for
understanding and empathy rather than advice or interruption. By choosing to remain silent, you honor the solemnity of the moment and the emotional states of those around you. Similarly, when someone chooses to listen quietly, you validate their feelings and experiences and give them the space to express themselves fully without judgment. This act of listening can be incredibly powerful in that it shows respect and concern for their well-being. Stoicism encourages us to pay attention to and adjust to our environment. Additionally, in the larger context of daily interactions, there are many situations in which silence can be a sign of respect, such as during heated debates or discussions. Choosing to remain silent can prevent escalation and show that you value peace and understanding over winning an argument in professional settings. This includes understanding and respecting cultural or spiritual norms that may be different from our own. Silence allows you to observe, learn, and show respect. Reserving our quick responses in order to properly comprehend the context or giving a colleague uninterrupted time to share their viewpoint. In these situations, remaining silent is an active and deliberate decision to be present and completely absorb the seriousness of the issue or the weight of other people's remarks. It is not about being passive. In today's fast-paced world where people are quick to speak and slow to listen, this practice can be especially effective. Let's embrace the Stoic practice of thoughtful silence. By doing this, we allow ourselves to be fully present in the moment, to truly listen, and to respect the perspectives and experiences of others. This method not only improves our ability to listen, but it also makes us more compassionate, caring, and connected people. With that in mind, the next time you're at a loss for words, keep in mind that sometimes the most polite and effective reaction is to be silent. From negotiating everyday interactions to navigating complicated situations, Stoic philosophy offers us a profound perspective on the importance of silence. By embracing times of silent thought, we acquire control over our minds and increase our awareness of ourselves and the world. The decision to keep quiet can have profound effects. We've looked at 11 distinct situations where remaining silent turns out to be the best course of action. These instances are recognized by Stoic teaching, not only demonstrates maturity, but also promotes personal development and harmony in our relationships. By practicing this skill, we give ourselves a useful tool for navigating life's challenges with grace and wisdom. If you found value in this discussion, please remember to show your support by giving this video a thumbs up and sharing it with your friends. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications for more insightful content. Thank you for joining us. Until the next time on this path of self-discovery and progress, may the guidance of silence bring you happiness and prosperity.